So, let's talk about a really big shift happening in Scottish education. It's called the Curriculum Improvement Cycle, or CIC for short, and it's basically a whole new way of thinking about how the national curriculum grows and changes. The idea is to stop just putting out fires and start, future-proofing learning for everyone. So how's it all going to work? Let's dive in.
But before we get into the nuts and bolts, it's worth asking a pretty basic question, right? In a world that changes as fast as ours does, can a curriculum that just stands still really get our kids ready for the future? Well, Scotland's answer, and the whole reason we're talking about this today, is a big, loud no.
So why the big change? And why right now? Well, this first part is all about a major shift in mindset, from making reactive, piecemeal fixes to doing planned, regular maintenance on the entire curriculum.
You see, for a long time, Scotland just didn't have a formal, official way to review its curriculum, so changes would often happen in response to some kind of external pressure, maybe political, and they tend to focus on just one specific area. This new cycle, it's designed to be the complete opposite. It's planned, it's proactive, and it looks at the whole thing, the entire system, as one big connected piece of machinery.
And look, this wasn't just an idea somebody pulled out of a hat. This change was a direct recommendation from two massive reports, one from the OECD back in 2021 and another from Scotland's own national discussion in 2023. Both of them pointed a big, flashing arrow at the need for a proper, sustainable way to keep the curriculum up to date.
Okay, so that's the problem. What's the solution? Let's get into the blueprint for this new approach, the curriculum improvement cycle itself. We're going to start by looking at the what, the actual model they've come up with.
So the cycle is built around four main stages. First up is analysis. That means digging into the evidence, the data, to see what's actually working in classrooms and what isn't. Then you move into engagement and co-creation, which is all about working together to brainstorm and test out new ideas. Stage 3 is share, learn, and adopt, where the focus is on creating the right support materials and getting everyone ready. And finally, you get to mobilize, monitor, and evaluate, where the new approaches are rolled out, and this is the crucial part. The feedback from that stage feeds directly back into the next run of analysis. It's a closed loop, designed to just keep getting better.
And get this, we're not talking about a quick fix here. A single full cycle, from the very beginning of analysis all the way to the end of evaluation, is designed to take about 10 years. That long timeline really tells you everything you need to know about the kind of deep, sustainable thinking behind this whole thing.
Now, holding all of this together are some key guiding principles. The whole process aims to be really ambitious, but also realistic about what can actually be achieved. And you'll notice words like bottom-up and collaborative in there. That's no accident. That collaborative piece is so important, it really needs its own moment in the spotlight.
So we've covered the what of the cycle. Now let's talk about the how. And this next part gets into what might be the single biggest change in thinking in the entire plan, moving from a top-down approach to a genuine with-them approach called co-design.
So what on earth is co-design? Well, think of it this way. It's an approach where the people who are actually going to use a service, in this case, we're talking about teachers, students, parents, are active partners in creating the solution from the very beginning. It's about designing with people, not just designing something for them.
Now, this co-design thing isn't just a chaotic brainstorming session. It actually follows a really clever, structured method called the double diamond. The idea is you start by going really wide in the discover phase to understand all the different angles of a problem. Then you narrow down to define exactly what problem you're trying to solve. After that, you go wide again to develop lots of different potential solutions before you finally narrow back down to deliver the one that works best.
To make all that work, this phrase has become a kind of mantra for everyone involved. Trust the process. And it's an important one, because when you bring that many different people and ideas into a room, it's not always going to feel neat and tidy.
In fact, the people running this are really open about the fact that it can feel, well, messy, especially in the middle. But the core belief here is that this messy middle is actually a good thing. It's where the real collaboration happens. And the idea is that if everyone trusts that structured process and really participates, clarity and a powerful solution will eventually come out the other side.
Okay, so we've got the philosophy. But what does it look like on the ground? Who is actually doing all this work? This section gets into the practical stuff, the specific groups of people that actually make this whole cycle turn.
So, to make sure this isn't just a free-for-all, every single review project is supported by a very clear structure made up of 4 key groups. They all have to work together, but each one has a very specific job to do.
Let's start with the 2 main groups of practitioners. On one hand, you've got these big collaboration groups. We're talking about 100 or so people. Think of them as the main sounding board, the ones who identify what's working and what isn't out there in the real world. Then you have the smaller, more focused core groups. They're the intensive working groups that take all that feedback and get down to the hard work of developing actual solutions.
So here's how the whole team fits together. You've got the collaboration and core groups doing that hands-on work. But watching over them is a steering group that gives high-level strategic direction. And, I love this part, you also have a group of critical friends. These are external experts whose entire job is to poke holes, challenge assumptions, and make sure nobody falls into groupthink. It's a fantastic system of checks and balances.
Okay, we've looked at the model, the philosophy, and the people. But you might be thinking, why does any of this actually matter to me, as a teacher, a parent, or a student? Well, let's connect all these dots to the big picture.
Here's probably the most important thing to understand. This curriculum improvement cycle isn't meant to be just another initiative that sits on a shelf. The entire point is for it to be the central gear that connects with and drives the whole education ecosystem in Scotland.
And when we say ecosystem, we mean the whole thing. This cycle is being designed to link up directly with how new qualifications are made, with the national digital strategy, with how schools are inspected, with performance data, and even with how new teachers are trained. The goal is to get all these different parts finally moving in the same direction at the same time.
And if you take away just one thing about why this all matters, it should be this. For way too long, in a lot of places, the big scary exams at the end have decided what gets taught in the classroom. The explicit goal here is to flip that script completely. The 3 to 18 curriculum, the entire learning journey, should be the thing that shapes how we do assessment and qualifications, not the other way around.
So, the framework is there. A new, collaborative, long-term way of improving learning in Scotland is kicking off. The system is designed to listen. The real question now isn't just about whether the system will work, but about how every single one of us, teachers, students, parents, communities, can make sure our voices are part of the conversation, truly shaping the future of learning.